Item number 5, discussion and possible action to adopt and approve ordinance number 3333, amending the City of Guthrie Code of Ordinance, Chapter 4, and so on and so forth. Leroy.
Ordinance number 3333 was recommended by the Planning Commission in its original version that came to the City Council. When the City Council reviewed that draft of the ordinance, there was some questions and thoughts that there was some fine-tuning that needed to be done, and there was a committee of 3 council members that were assigned to review the ordinance and come up with recommendations. That committee put in a number of hours and worked very diligently to make what they thought were good recommendations that would benefit the community, but their recommendations to the changes to ordinance number 3333, it is now significantly different than the version that went through the Planning Commission. And there are some clerical items that probably need to be addressed as well. I am going to recommend, because this draft is significantly different from the version that went through the Planning Commission, that the City Council send this ordinance back to the Planning Commission to get their feedback on the changes before we take action on it as the governing body. Now, that's not to preclude, if you make that motion, individuals here to speak on it could still speak on it if they want to, but I think there may be a lot of them that would wait until it's been back and make their comments to the Planning Commission. But that's the recommendation that I would make as city manager.
Okay.
I'd like to make that motion that we send it back to the Planning Commission, but go ahead and discuss it,
Let's see if
Brian.
there's any,
know that we're done.
any question? Any
Go ahead.
question?
I just wanted to address the fact that there are, I think there's one street near the Egg, which would be the one on the west side, that isn't included in part of what that committee discussed, and have requested of me, and probably other commissioners as well, that street be included with the rest of them on Park Place to exclude buildings, metal buildings. And I wanted to draw that to everyone's attention. We have several names here, I guess, that live in that area that absolutely do not want them.
Well, there's a couple areas like that too. I think the Mockingbird area is kind of like that too.
They've got lots of buildings.
Okay.
I think there are a couple of people, though, that came specifically to ask if that could be amended, and that should probably be a part of the record.
Okay, all right.
So, with all due respect to planning, Joe, you were in the meetings, but with all due respect to planning, I mean, we've got about 9 hours and 3 days in this. Okay, and so I'm going to recommend that Dan gets up and goes through this thing line by line, only because my time's extremely valuable, so is his and so is hers. And we've got a ton in it. And to just push the planning could have come in here all along. Joe was in there. That's just the fact. Nothing different happened on anything that you weren't in on. And so, do what?
I didn't attend the third meeting.
Well, except the third meeting. That was just iron up stuff, really.
That was the substantial change that made that day.
So,
Here's my beef. We knew this before Friday. We knew this before this damn agenda went out. So why the hell did it make it to the agenda? I don't know who's in charge of that, but Dan his time is valuable, and he's put a lot of time into this. All three of
We
us
all
on the
have.
meeting, we put some time in it. I don't care if it's changed in a minute. I really don't. But what pisses me off is that we come to this meeting.
Let's clean it up a
What
little.
ticks me off is that we
Thank
come to
you.
this meeting with an agenda item that we know shouldn't even been on there in the first place.
if that's the case. My concern is you were in the meetings, and why the rest of planning wasn't is beyond me, okay, at this point. So, I mean, you can shake your head on it, but you were in the meetings.
Would you like me to respond?
After, I think that first I want Dan to go through this line by line, and then I think that you respond to whatever you have issues with. I mean, this is what we had to do, so let's sit here and do it tonight.
Well,
The way I look at it, my nights were consumed till 9 o'clock sometimes on this deal.
I understand that. I
Starting at
understand that,
5.
And there was a lot, I mean, the three of you have spent obviously considerable amount of time
Exactly.
and energy in this.
So therefore, and especially since you were in the meetings, 2 of them, and you were invited in the last one as well, Joe.
I was never invited to the first one.
I don't, there you go. That furthers my point.
I
Okay,
didn't come to the third one.
but you were asked to
And,
when we left the second one.
no,
Yes, I asked you.
I left the meeting early. You guys were still talking and I said, see you later.
Okay.
Well, I
whatever on
guess
that,
it's-
whatever.
it's-
I mean, there's gonna be a complaint about no matter what. Here's what's gonna happen with this, okay? You got 100% of the people, you're gonna have 50% are gonna like it and 50% are not gonna like it. So Dan, if you would get up and go through the thing line by line, that's what I want as a councilman and investing my time in this.
Okay, if we expect the planning commission to be staff and make recommendations to us, how do they do that in this
Okay,
process?
But planning commission, and here, by the way, okay, when we on the first meeting, you didn't even know that this came to us, because I asked you, and you sat there, and planning approved this thing, and you had no clue it even came through. You said that to me, right at that table, Joe.
I didn't see the meeting. but-
Yeah, you didn't have any idea about it, but yet you guys are approving it.
I'm not understanding why that's germane,
That is very germane.
okay?
Okay, that's
Educate-
germane because
educate
planning
me.
already had it, but yet part of planning didn't even know it was going through. On the original one that you tried to get a motion on. Yeah,
That came-
that one.
that came here to
That
the
one that
council.
was here, exactly.
But now there's a number of changes.
Now, and now all of a sudden, planning's involved. Okay, but apparently they weren't all involved on the first one,
Oh,
but yet approved it.
well, no.
so
I-
there you go.
I believe that,
Okay.
I believe when it came to us, it said that the planning, it was a 5-0 unanimous
Exactly,
approval.
Exactly.
When it said,
But
I don't know
Joe
who the
didn't know
5
about
are,
it.
but, okay? But now we've got significant changes,
There were
Yeah.
significant changes before.
so,
There's significant changes to the significant changes.
so why not send it back to them?
Because they've had it. I think that Dan.
They've not
needs-
had this, though, Brian.
Have you read this?
3 times.
Okay. So what are your issues with it?
Well, I got.
Why don't we go through that one by one?
I got a few notes on pages.
So let's go. Put your time in, Steve. We're not just going to kick this back.
I think that's what planning deserves.
Really, planning voted 5-0 on it, and part of planning didn't even know it went through. So what do you mean that's what they deserve?
I think they deserve to have input into a document that we should be voting on. Quit screaming on that.
I'm not. I don't know what happened on that. It's talking to me.
It says, put
Look,
your
here's
mask
bottom
back
line,
on.
okay, Joe, I appreciate you and all the things that you do, okay? But the bottom line is, we spent a ton of time in here. All the planning could have been in that meeting. Okay, 3 different times over the course of 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Okay, 8, 9 hours. Okay, everybody could have been in there. There was nobody barred from that. That was not a private meeting.
But Brian, at the same time, I realize that you've volunteered a lot of time, and Cheryl has, and so has James, and I don't want to negate that.
Have you read the ordinance, Jen?
I don't want to, let me talk. I don't want to negate that, but at the same time, they put in a lot of volunteer time too.
Have you read the ordinance?
The difference, the only difference is $1, I suppose.
Exactly.
But
Have you
we're
read the
still-
ordinance
but we're
is my
still
question.
putting in a lot of time. Yes, I've read it, but that's beside the point. That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
We set these people, we set planning up. I'm pointing at you, Joe. I'm not trying to point at you. I'm trying to point at planning. We set planning up to look this stuff over for us before it comes to us. And they've put a lot of time in it too.
Oh, really? Why don't
now-
why don't you find out how much time's
Well,
been
Joe,
put
how
in?
long have you been on planning commission?
No, I'm not talking about how long he's been on
Come on,
planning,
I'm
how much
just-
time
I'm
has been
just
put in
saying that
this.
They're volunteering their time too.
You told me when we first started, you didn't read this, so now all of a sudden you did.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a little
Say I didn't
confused
read
here.
I would like to motion to table it, but also I would like to make a comment that could we please stop sending things onto the agenda that aren't ready?
Exactly, it's ridiculous.
Let's just quit.
We have
So,
mo-
a motion to table it.
we have a motion to table.
And I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No. Roll call vote. Vice Mayor Case?
Aye.
Councilman Long?
Aye.
Councilman Taylor?
Aye.
Councilman Bothroyd?
Aye.
Councilman Channel?
Aye.
Councilwoman Paget?
Aye.
Mayor Gentling, yes. Unanimous approval to table. Those people that were here to talk about giving their input, obviously it'll be on a future agenda. And some of these changes, some of these things may change, may not. But if you want to come and make comments now, you certainly can. I would suggest that you wait and see what the next edition is before you do that. It's up to you, however you want to do it.
If I understand,
Make a comment.
Just a minute.
Can I clarify real quick? Is
we
it-
Okay.
is
just
it-
tabled it,
is
it's
it
not
table-
changing.
Is it tabled to, is it Leroy's recommendation to send back
what
to
I
planning
motioned, yes.
commission? What's the,
James made the motion.
Well, tabling our vote, you're going to send it back to planning commission so that they can review it.
okay.
We have people here that have signed in. Should we not know what their concerns are before we go back to planning and let it start over again? We may not have,
Cheryl, they probably should show up to the planning commission meeting. That's probably what they should do, to be honest. I mean, that's where it's going to be reviewed and discussed.
I just want to make sure that their input or their concerns are addressed before something is finalized again without that knowledge.
I think they can have either option. So if you are here and you want to make a comment to what's being proposed here, you can go ahead. Obviously, the planning commission meeting is also open meeting, and you can have your input at that juncture also.
When is the planning meeting?
Next planning meeting, Dan?
I think it's this Thursday.
This Thursday,
This Thursday, yeah.
What time is that?
You're the chair, are you the chair,
Is
Joe?
it- However, is it on the agenda?
Second Thursday.
Their agenda already been posted?
I'm sure it has.
Second Thursday in August will be the next,
I'll try to get it on that agenda. Let me confirm.
In August or
it's
July?
not tomorrow, it's not this Thursday?
it can't be on the agenda if it's this Thursday.
Okay.
How long do y'all plan on delaying this?
Well, to send it back to the planning commission, since their agenda has already been made, it's going to be their August agenda.
13.
13th of August?
Another month for you guys to figure out whether or not I can have a building on a 5-acre lot that is fairly in city limits.
You can make your comments right here, okay?
I live on 5 acres on a dead-end road, it's a private road.
You want to come up here and identify yourself, address, and make your comments officially?
Sure.
Thanks, Brad.
My name's Brad Butler, live at 6030 Southwest 21st. It's a dead-end private road. Smallest lot out there is 2.5 acres, the largest one's 100. I'm not allowed to have a 30 by 40 shop because I chose land over the big house. That's ridiculous. I don't live in Guthrie city limits proper. I'm out in the sticks. I don't know, 15 years ago, I think it was, y'all annexed us so we could help pay for the water treatment plant. This we don't even use. We don't see anything for this. All I want is a damn shop. And you guys are dragging your feet. Why?
Just trying to get it right for as many people as we can.
So those that live in the city on a postage stamp can have a building, which several have, because I've driven around and looked at this. But I'm on 5 acres with a small house, 1,200 square foot house. I'm not allowed to have a building?
Well, how big a building?
30 by 40. It's 1,200 square feet.
So it's as big as his house.
Yeah, why don't you come back on this, because I think you're gonna have some council people fighting for you on the deal.
'Cause that's ridiculous. I can't, my hobby is to rebuild cars and motorcycles. I can't do that in a 500 square foot shop. That's a shed. I can't even put my lawn tractor and lawn equipment in that damn thing.
But the calculations as proposed won't allow you to do that.
No.
Right.
I hear you.
Okay? Now, I've got people down that road that their barn was taken out during last August tornado. They're not allowed to rebuild it right now. They've got livestock out wandering around. All of his farm equipment's out.
Okay.
So you all dragging your feet to appease the people that live in the city limits is causing us problems out in the country. We don't see you guys. We don't hear from you. We don't see police. We don't see fire. We don't see anybody out there. But you're tying our hands.
I understand the concern.
I don't think y'all really do.
I understand.
Well, yeah, what you ought to do is ask for a list of the buildings that have been permitted in the last 18 months, and then go look at them. You want to get right down to the brass tacks.
And how is that my responsibility?
It's not your
Shouldn't that be
responsibility. That
somebody's
helps your
responsibility
case.
up here on the city
It helps
council?
your case. I'm for you, man. It helps your case, 100%.
I mean, all you gotta do is get off your ass and drive around the areas out there, and you can see all the people that have buildings out
Yeah.
there. On smaller lots with larger homes
That have been permitted.
that are up, yeah. Nobody said anything about it.
Okay.
And now I'm waiting and waiting, and in the meantime, price of steel and labor is going up.
That have been inspected and permitted.
Well, I don't know about the inspection part
I
of
do.
it.
Okay? Hence is what a big part of the problem is.
So y'all are delaying everything. I can't repair the existing barn that was damaged by the tornado because it's not worth repairing. So in the meantime, I've got a $15,000 motorcycle sitting unprotected. I've got all my lawn equipment sitting unprotected, and a truck I can't put under cover because you guys are dragging your damn feet. Who's gonna pay for the damage in the next hailstorm? Should I sue the city? Should I sue to be de-annexed out in that area? Is that a viable plan? Is that an option?
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, because you'd lose your tax money. So give me something for what I'm paying. I don't use a water treatment plant, I'm on a well and septic. I don't have fire protection out there. Closest water is gonna be the lake. Fire department's already told me years ago, it's just gonna be a controlled burn. I accepted that, and I lived out there. I also have had it, I should be able to have a shop. I should be able to have a horse. But I'm not allowed to. You make no sense.
But it's not
Okay.
inside the city limits?
Well, let's just be real
I
clear.
am just inside the city
I
limits.
see.
Yeah.
My property line on the far side is the end of city limits, I believe.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brule. Yeah.
Butler.
Butler. Can't read your writing, I'm sorry. Anybody else want to make some comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second to table, send back to the Planning Commission, and roll call vote. Councilman Bothroyd,
Nay.
Councilman Channel,
Yes.
Councilman Paget,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Case,
Aye.
Councilman Long. Aye. Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
Mayor Gentling, yes. By
6
6 to 1 vote, it is moved back to the Planning Commission for their comments and to then send back to the City Council.
I hope Dan's visiting with him about it. Is there a variance or something that can be granted? I mean, that man had more valid points in his 5 minutes than we've had in the last whole meeting.
No, the variance is you just do it and then you go to City Hall and get a permit when the concrete and electrical's being done. That's what the variance is. Ask for forgiveness. It's what it's been. Okay? And it's ridiculous. What we put together covers the man. And that's a fact. If you read it. Doesn't cover the neighborhood that you live in. Okay? It covers that man. What it covers. But if we read it, you'd see that.